You guys remember this tower we built a little while back? This is the Height Y60 build that we did. I haven't installed an OS or anything on this yet because I figured it would make the perfect opportunity to make a 2023 refresher for what to do after building your tower. It's mostly the same, but because of the new hardware limitations and some of the different things to think about when it comes to AM5 as well as 13th gen, I figured we'd just kind of take you guys along for the ride, make this a Windows 11 updated type of video so that you guys can stop asking me.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new Moray
and the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved one, or just get them for yourself.
So at this point in your build, we're going to assume you've already bench tested your parts, they post, they turn on, and you're looking at a screen similar to this. Now you might also find on your first post or boot that it has a DOS looking screen that says something along the lines of CPU has changed, push F1 to enter setup, etc. If you see that, then yes, push F1, and you'll see a screen that looks similar to this. Now this is going to look different based on the manufacturer that you've got for your motherboard. We use Asus a lot around here, so this is going to look pretty much similar to any Asus either ROG or TUF or Strix motherboard that you might find, both for AMD and Intel. They'll look very, very similar. Now, there's a few things we want to check before we even start installing anything, but speaking of installs, there's a couple things we're going to need. One, you need your Windows install media. For this particular guide, we assume you're installing Windows. If you're doing Linux or something like that, it's going to be a completely different process, and this isn't going to apply to you once we get to the OS installation phase. But some of the pre-setup we're going to do with our BIOS is still going to apply to you. So you need your Windows install media or your OS install media, and you're going to need another thumb drive, because one of the things that we are going to do with the newest hardware, whether it be 12th gen, 13th gen, or AM5 especially, is updating our BIOS on our motherboard. And the reason for that is giving us the best compatibility with all the different kinds of RAM that is out there. It is possible that you may have picked up RAM sticks that are newer than the BIOS that's on your motherboard, which could lead to some instability or crashing or just weird wonkiness of your system if you are using RAM that has not had a BIOS update that is putting it on the QVL or the quality verification list for RAM and your particular system. So although I'm the kind of person that adopts the if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and most people would say it posted, therefore it ain't broke. Once you go to enable your XMP or your Extreme Memory Profile on an Intel system or your AMD Expo on an AM5 system, and you start pushing the advertised RAM speed that is on the sticks of RAM, then you might start noticing some issues. So a few things we're going to be checking for here. First and foremost is our CPU temperature. Now that's this guy right here. CPU temperature hovering in 46C right now on a 13900K, running 1.447 volts. This is an appropriate temperature. What you want to look for is that temperature steadily climbing and climbing and climbing and not stopping. That could be an indicator that maybe your pump isn't plugged in or something is wrong with your water cooling install or your air cooling install. That could indicate that something is wrong there, and you would want to check for that. So the first thing you're going to look at is your CPU temperature in your BIOS. There is a load applied to your CPU and BIOS because the voltage goes up, and it will show itself if there's any problems. The second thing you're going to look for is your RAM status. And the nice thing about this main basic page here that you find on Asus motherboards is the fact that you can find all this stuff right on the same page. So here is your RAM. You can see that we've got both of our RAM sticks installed in channel A and channel B, both the second slot. Doesn't matter if it's an A1, B1, or A2, B2 most of the time, but I want to make sure that both sticks are showing up if you have two sticks. If we had 4 sticks installed and only 3 were showing up, it could be an indicator of a bad RAM stick. Maybe a stick isn't seated properly all the way down, or maybe even your motherboard compatibility issues again with QVL and 4 sticks. All kinds of weird things can happen. But you might notice these are, I believe these are 6,000 or 6,200 megahertz sticks, somewhere around there. They're only showing 4,800 megahertz. And that's because, as you can see right here, XMP is disabled. It's going to say AMD Expo if you're in an AMD setup. You do not want to enable this yet for the reasons that I just stated. They may cause stability issues if you activate it. The last thing you want to deal with when installing your operating system is any sort of CPU crash or memory failure when it comes to stability on your particular platform. Don't do that yet. This is where we are going to go ahead and take our second USB drive that we have here. You are going to take the model of your motherboard and you're gonna, on another system, hopefully you have access to a laptop or even a basic Chromebook or something, that you can go on to another system that's connected to the internet, go to the latest BIOS page for your manufacturer of motherboard and download the latest BIOS. In fact, the one that we're installing right here actually had an install or an update 8 days ago. And that is much newer than we built this system. So we know that we're gonna be getting, and it will say in the change logs what exactly has changed. Most of the time you're gonna see general stability fixes or updates, and more than likely memory compatibility updates, because memory is just churning out fast right now with manufacturers. And this is a DDR5 system, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, one thing we want to do before we go ahead and update our BIOS is check our storage information. We only have one 2 terabyte NVMe drive. It's a Samsung SSD 980 Pro 2 terabyte, and it is showing up right here. If you have multiple drives installed, you want to make sure that they're all showing up on the list. One of the things that we tend to do around here, though, is if we have any SATA drives that are plugged into our system, when we install Windows, we unplug those drives, or at least unplug the power to them. That way Windows can't accidentally be installed on one of those by mistake. But since we only have one drive in the system, that's not an issue. Now, if you're on an ASUS motherboard, you can hit F7 to get into the advanced menu. You can right arrow over to Tool, and then that's where we're going to use the ASUS Easy Flash 3 utility. And you can see right here, if we go to our storage device, which is this guy, here is our new BIOS right here, the SZ790E.cap. That is our updater or our firmware BIOS for this particular motherboard. So it says, please back up your BitLocker recovery key and suspend BitLocker encryption in the operating system before updating your firmware. That's just a general advisory. You might be looking at that going, I didn't set up a BitLocker. What am I supposed to do?